I felt burnt out. I felt unfulfilled. I was constantly stressing about money. And I was lucky enough to meet some very successful entrepreneurs. I wanted to learn everything I could about what they were doing differently to me. And it became very evident quite quickly that I'm sure you've got lots of ideas. I'm sure you've got lots of great videos you've watched, but are you actually implementing them? Clients are buying that. They're buying the journey from A to B. They're buying that dream outcome. And most of the time, as creatives, we don't dig deep enough to find what that outcome really is. These are really the only three things that move the needle and that make a difference when it comes to doing this kind of work. So what are they? The first one is Matt Essam here. Welcome to another episode of the Creative Courage podcast. If you have ambitions to grow your business, but you don't want to work any harder and you don't want to hire a massive team, then today's episode is for you. I am going to share a presentation that I gave about 6 months ago that was really a look behind the scenes of my coaching business and all of the creative businesses that I've coached over the last 10 years to really identify what were the 2 to 3 things that actually moved the needle in people's businesses, that gave them a unfair advantage. And so that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. And so the good news is there really is only 3 things that you need to focus on if you want to win those higher value projects, if you want to start growing your business without hustling harder, without having to hire a massive team and grow a massive agency. I hope you find today's podcast episode valuable. As always, if you do, please hit the subscribe button and share it with a friend. So let me just share a little bit of context with you for a few minutes before we get into this. So I've got a picture here that I took back in 2015. This is, I think, in Canada, overlooking the Canadian Rockies, and I'm snowboarding. I think it's probably a Tuesday afternoon. From the outside, it looks like I've got the ideal business. I've got friends, I've got peers, people messaging me on Instagram being like, your life looks incredible. I'd built a business that I could run from anywhere in the world. We had a small dynamic team. We were doing cool creative projects. But behind the scenes, it was a totally different story. I felt burnt out. I felt unfulfilled. I was constantly stressing about money and how I was going to pay my team and how I was going to get invoices paid from clients. And it just wasn't a pretty picture. Now, I had one of those moments in my life where you get a big cold bucket of water thrown on you and it shifts your perspective. And for me, that was in the form of a family friend dying quite suddenly and unexpectedly. And so I came back to the UK, where I'm from originally and where I was living before I went and lived the digital nomad lifestyle. And I had one of those moments that I heard Steve Jobs talk about in his commencement speech. And he says that he used to get up every single day and look at himself in the mirror. And he would ask himself the question, he'd say, if today were the last day of my life, would I be doing what I'm about to do? And if the answer was no for too many days in a row, he knew that something had to change. And that resonated massively with me because despite what it looked like from the outside, despite that version of success that I was portraying to the outside world, I felt deeply unfulfilled. And so I spent the next few months introspecting, reading books, watching YouTube videos, getting inspired by memes on Instagram, really trying to find this sense of purpose. Like, why was I experiencing these things? Why did I have the exact vision that I'd set out in my head to build this amazing business? I'd got all of these things, but I still wasn't happy. Now, I was lucky enough to meet some very successful entrepreneurs, and I invested pretty much all the money I had at the time to work and be mentored by these entrepreneurs, people that had built multiple 7-figure businesses, but more importantly, that I saw really doing work that was having an impact, really doing work that was making a difference. And I was just the straight A student. I wanted to learn everything I could about what they were doing differently to me. And it became very evident quite quickly that there was this distinction between the art of creativity, i.e. getting good at what you do, your creative field, and the business of creativity, finding the right clients, knowing what to charge, knowing how to market yourself, knowing how to position yourself. And I'd spent so long getting good at the art of creativity. I'd spent so long building my skills, building my portfolio, doing all these things that I'd neglected the business of creativity. And so over the next few years, I went on a journey to master the business of creativity, to learn everything I wanted to learn, to find the kind of clients that I really wanted to work with, to do the kind of work that I really wanted to do. And it was slow at first. It was getting rid of the kind of clients that I didn't enjoy working with. It was learning how to communicate what I did more effectively. And it was realizing that a lot of my clients were struggling with the same problem that I was. They hadn't mastered these fundamental business principles either. So a lot of the work that we were doing for them around building websites and helping them with marketing campaigns wasn't really having the impact that we wanted. And so what I learned were some real fundamental principles that shifted everything. First of all, it started with just doing work with clients that I loved. And that was an amazing feeling. Then it started to follow. We built 6 figures and then beyond 6 figures and now multiple 6 figures just with the kind of clients that we love, just doing the kind of work that I really enjoy doing. And it transformed how I felt. Now, I could be anywhere in the world. Right now, I'm sitting in a studio in Leeds. It's rainy, it's dark, and it's cold outside, but I love my life way more than I did when I was sitting on that mountain in Canada. And that's because I built a business with a simple mission. We're on a mission to give business owners in the creative industries the tools, the support, and resources they need to really do meaningful and impactful work. I want to see other creatives out there, award-winning designers, internationally recognized photographers that we get to work with, doing the work that lights up their soul, doing the work that has an impact in the world. And so in order to do that, there are 3 fundamental things that we need to master. Out of everything that I learned, out of everything that I tried, out of all of the work that we've done with our clients, these are really the only 3 things that move the needle and that make a difference when it comes to doing this kind of work. So what are they? The first one is differentiating yourself in the market. If you just look like everybody else, then things aren't going to be fun. And so really when we differentiate ourselves, what that gives us is fulfillment. And it gives us fulfillment because we realize that we're in a unique position to help somebody and we actually can have the impact that we really want to have. The second pillar is around communication. How do we communicate the value of what we do so we can get paid what we want to get paid consistently by the types of clients that we really want to attract? And then the third and final thing is how we deliver our services so that we're not trading time for money, and to do the work we really want, to spend time with our family, to work on the projects that bring us joy, and we're not a slave to our business. So that's what we're going to talk about in the next 20 minutes. And I'm going to give you an overview of each one of these to show you exactly what you need to know. So let's talk about differentiation, how to stand out in an oversaturated market. If you're the same as everyone else, you're being constantly compared to other people. And for us, I remember what that felt like. It felt like always being in a pitch process. It felt like potential clients saying to us, okay, we're going to get back to you. We've just got to talk to these 3 other agencies, or can you come to our office and do this pitch and put a bid in against these people? It felt like the work we were doing wasn't really having an impact, because if we weren't doing it, then somebody else was going to. And that was a pretty crap feeling, to be honest. And we used to spend hours and hours on our website and our portfolio trying to differentiate ourselves, but nothing really worked. When we learned how to differentiate ourselves, when we learned how to be different, we were constantly told, do you know what? This is amazing. There's no one else that is quite like you. And I get told this still today. I get told by prospects, by clients, hey, there's no one else that really does what you do. And I can assure you there are. There are plenty of other people, coaches, mentors, consultants that work with creatives. But because of my background, because of the story, because of the team we've built, it feels like there is no one else that does it quite like we do. And that's an amazing thing to be told, because it means that you know you're in a unique position to help. You have a unique set of skills and abilities to help people to solve a problem. And never having to pitch again, never having to be in a pitch again is an incredible feeling. And we even have clients that win stuff with an outdated portfolio, or even no portfolio, or no new website. So what's the concept? How do we differentiate ourselves? How do we stand out from the market? And so I want to talk to you for a second about the different layers of value. On the top, we have this surface value, and the surface value is really about the things that we show to the outside world. And so we're constantly talking about our portfolio and trying to make our website look better and having a unique style and, oh, we've got these skills or we've done these courses, right? And that's all great, but the problem is everybody looks the same. Everybody has these things. Everybody else has similar clients on their portfolio. They have a similar style website. Then we have what's called experiential value. And experiential value is about how clients feel and the experience they have when they actually work with you. But this is under the surface. They can only get that once they've signed that contract, once they've parted with that money. They can only get the value of the relationship they have with you, your expertise, your process, your problem-solving skills. They can only experience that once they've started working with you. So that's a little bit of a problem. And then right at the bottom of the iceberg is what I call the deep value. And the deep value is really around your personal experiences, the things that only you've done, the things that you're passionate about, your hobbies, the people in your network, where you've traveled, where you've been, the unique knowledge you've had, the books that you've read. All of these things add up to make a unique combination. Nobody else has this exact same combination. Everybody else can have this combination, right? Other people can have great relationships with their clients. They can have similar problem-solving skills, but no one else can have the exact same combination of things that you have in your deep value. So the big idea, the big concept that I want to share with you around differentiation is that your real value is actually locked up inside your story. Story is the vehicle that you can use to bring all of these things, these kind of intangible, unspoken things, to the surface and start showing them to the rest of the world. So let me tell you about Scott really quickly. Scott ran a design studio, and I remember him saying to me, like, working with these kind of clients who feel the same way I do about the outdoors and adventure is something I've never had before. And he attracted those clients, like Red Bull, for example. He won that client because he got good at sharing his story, at sharing his journey, and they saw him as unique. For Rachel, it was about her confidence, the feeling that she understood her clients' problems better than anyone else because of her story, because of her experiences, because of the things that she knew. For Celeste, it was about being able to win ideal clients by just sending cold emails, thing that she never thought would work because no one responds to cold emails, right? Well, they do if you tell your story and if you communicate in the right way. So if you've ever read Donald Miller's Building a Story Brand, you'll know that there's 3 important stories that we have to share and that we have to get good at telling: our story, our business's story, and most importantly, our customer's story. And when we can share stories like that, when we connect with people on that level, we become differentiated, we become uncomparable to everybody else. So that was differentiate. And obviously that's a high level view, but I just want to give you these concepts so that you understand what to work on in your business and what to focus on to really move the needle. The second part is communicate. So how do we go from this kind of creative worker who's just told what to do to a partner and actually start charging the kind of money that we want to be charging? Because when we're a worker, clients always want discounts. Oh, can you do this for cheaper? Or so-and-so only charges this much. There's constant amends. You do something, they come back with, I like it, but can you change X, Y, and Z? Maybe they always ask you, hey, can we see a breakdown of that? Hey, can we see how you arrived at this price? And the worst thing is when you get ghosted. When you send these proposals, you spend ages writing this proposal, ages working on this thing, you send it across, and then just crickets. And so this is all the result of not being able to clearly and consistently articulate the value of what you do to your ideal clients. When you become a partner, partners charge what they want to charge. Partners put a number on it and clients say yes, because clients see them as the guide, they see them as the expert, and the client just pays and doesn't question. Really, partners attract clients that make decisions quickly and value their time. So how do we become a partner rather than a worker? Well, first of all, we've got to understand the decision-making process. The decision-making process is actually something that you've probably experienced yourself, and this is related to a considered purchase, something that you don't just go and buy a new pair of jeans. This is something you think long and hard about. And I always use the example of the trusty old iPhone, right? And the reason is because I bought one of these recently. And so I started at stage 1 where I didn't really think I had a problem. I already had a phone. It worked perfectly well. Then a new phone came out and I was intrigued. I moved to this kind of awareness stage of, oh, there's something that this new phone can do that mine can't. And then the battery on mine started running out. So I started to become a little bit discontent with what I had. And then something happened. There's this line here that we all experience, and it's like the straw that broke the camel's back, right? Something happened that made me go, actually, I need a new phone. So I decided that I needed to do something about it. I went out into the market. I started researching. And then I made a decision, I bought it, and then I did the weird thing that some of us do when we buy something, we go watch a bunch of YouTube videos and we're like, that's definitely the thing that I want to buy. And then we buy it and then we go back and watch those YouTube videos just to make sure that it was definitely the right decision, right? So I did that and I purchased, and then I thought, okay, cool. That was definitely the right decision for me. So what most people are doing, most creative businesses are doing, is they're communicating with people at stage 4. And that seems like the logical place to communicate with someone because they have something they want, like, hey, we need a new website, we need a rebrand, and you offer that thing. But the problem with stage 4 is it's only actually about 6 to 8% of the entire market. So it's a very small market. And if you think about it, who wants the attention of people at stage 4? If you've ever seen one of those posts on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn where it's like, hey, we're looking for someone to do a rebrand. Do you know anyone? And within like 10 minutes, there's hundreds of comments, people recommending other people. So it's actually really highly competitive, right? And then the final thing, if you think about when you're at stage 4, what are some of the criteria that you're using to decide what to buy? Most of the time, we want to know, how much does it cost? Is it any good? Like, what do other people say about it? Is it going to get me the result? And how quickly am I going to get it? And so when we engage with people at stage 4, when we communicate at stage 4, we're communicating with one of the smallest, most competitive markets that are comparing on time, price, and quality. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds like one of the worst places to engage people. So what do you think it would be like if we engaged people at stage 1 and we took them round to stage 4 or 5? We started that relationship at stage 1 and we held their hand all the way through here. We'd probably have a different relationship, right? We'd probably be able to charge more money. We'd probably be seen as a partner. We'd probably see all those things that we've just mentioned in the previous slide. And so then the question becomes, how do we do that? How do we take someone from stage 1 to stage 4? And how do we start communicating at stage 1 and 2 rather than stage 4 of the journey? And this is the part that seems a little bit counterintuitive. But actually what we want to do is stop talking about our services, right? Stop talking about services. Stop talking about, hey, we offer branding, we offer websites, yada, yada, yada. And start talking about symptoms. Start talking about what your clients currently are experiencing. Because when they're at stage 1, they don't know the solution. They might not even really know the problem. But what they do know is what they're currently experiencing. Okay, so an example with the iPhone might be, are you bored of your battery constantly running out? Are you bored of slightly blurry photos? Like, that's what I'm experiencing. Not how amazing is our new iPhone. It's great, because I'm not in the market for an iPhone at that time, right? So symptoms rather than services. This is amazing. When this works, it's incredible. We've had clients double a budget just in one conversation by changing where and how they engage with people. We've had, like Daniel, for example, increase his rates by over 200% in the last 12 months. So he can now build his dream studio space. And this is my favorite. Will, going from when he first started working with us, $1,500 logos to now $15K branding projects without 10 times the work, right? More importantly, he's not 10xing the work, he's 10xing the price and the way that he communicates that price. And there's hundreds more examples of this from case studies, which, by the way, if you want to see more, I will link below if you guys want to check out a little bit more about some of the case studies we have. But really, I just want you to get this, right? I want you to get, like, Matt just won over £500,000 worth of business for the next year. And all of this really is about the questions that he used and making sure that they were adding value. This was Will that I showed you earlier. This was Amar booking possibly one of the largest values ever since, and conversations using these lessons, right? So these are all people that have have had these results by changing the way they communicate, starting to talk about the symptoms and engaging people at stage 1 and 2 rather than stage 4. So that's communicate. Let's talk about the final pillar, deliver. We want to stop trading our time for money, and we want to actually build something that can grow without us. So how do we do this? Well, non-scalable looks like it relies on you. So basically, if you go away as the founder, then the business breaks. It means that you're always worried about going on holiday without checking your emails. It sometimes shows up as your team kind of dropping the ball on things, and we blame our team, but actually it's not about our team. It's about what I'm about to show you. And it really just feels like there's not enough hours in the day. So you're like constantly busy. When you have a scalable business, it doesn't rely on you, it relies on a process, which is what I'm about to talk about. We have clients that take 6 to 8 weeks holiday and they come back and their business is basically the same. Nothing major breaks, and their team consistently delivers on client expectations. For them personally, they get to pick and choose the work they do. It feels fun, it feels easy, and it feels light. So what do we need to do in order to create this? Well, here's what I hear from creative studio owners, from founders. They always tell me, hey, my client wants me, right? I can't take myself out of the business because my client wants me. And then I ask them, how much do you think your client would pay you to sit down and play video games with you? Guess what their answer is? Not a lot. So if the client doesn't want to sit down and play video games, then they can't want you. They must want a result. And this is when we talk about the two islands, Island A and Island B, where they are now and where they're trying to get to. Clients are buying that. They're buying the journey from A to B. They're buying that dream outcome. And most of the time, as creatives, we don't dig deep enough to find what that outcome really is and position ourselves as a guide to get them there. We want to position ourselves as the guide to get them across that bridge. And so clients are really buying a result or an outcome. And the way that we do that, in a scalable way, which means that we're not trading time for money, is we unpack all of the ideas in our head, all of the things that you do naturally without thinking, a little bit like when you drive a car, all the little things that you're doing. You're just driving the car, you're just getting it from A to B. But if someone asked you to break down exactly how you do that, how do you know when to look in your mirror and indicate and change gear and do all of those things? All of a sudden that becomes quite difficult and quite overwhelming. So we need to do that. We need to take these ideas and our processes out of our head and put them down onto paper. How do we get our clients results consistently? And if we can do that, we then have a process to follow. We then have something that can get results without us. So we want to think in terms of products rather than services. Services, if we're constantly doing things custom, we're constantly doing things bespoke, if we're constantly solving new problems for different people, our business becomes complex, our business is not scalable. Whereas if we are solving the same problem for the same person over and over again, not like a creative factory, you can still be super creative about how you do that, but you consistently know what the steps are in that process to get them from A to B. And that's the only way we really create scale in our business. And so one of the case studies I love is Jay. Jay and Andy run a film production studio in London. And when they came to me, one of the things they wanted to do is free up enough time in their business to work on some passion projects. And I caught up with Jay a couple of weeks ago, and he's currently making a documentary about his home country called the Cyprus conflict, something that he's been wanting to do for years and years and years, because he made his packages and he made products out of his services. So he was able to scale. For some people like Yasmin, it's just simple as going on holiday and not checking emails, knowing that things are going to get done. Or like Diane, kind of taking that time to be able to draw and to be able to do the things that she was passionate about. So I just gave you a bunch of ideas. Those are the only 3 things that you really need to focus on if you want to grow and scale your business without working harder, without hiring a massive team, without taking on more stress, things being easier. One thing I just want to leave you with is this concept of ideas versus implementation. I'm sure you've got lots of ideas. I'm sure you've got lots of great videos you've watched, lots of great books you've watched. But are you actually implementing them? Are you actually doing the things that are going to move the needle in your business day to day, week to week? If the answer is no, then this is where we might come in. So we have something that we call the results formula. What I've just walked you through is the strategy piece. This is how we get clients results with the things that we do. This is the thinking that we use. These are the things that we work on. The problem with that is if the strategy was just enough, if the ideas alone were enough, then everyone could just read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and be driving around in a Ferrari, or read a fitness book and have a six-pack. We know that it's not that simple. And so there were two other elements, and I've learned this the hard way by spending tens, probably even hundreds of thousands of pounds on courses, coaches, mentors, you name it, I've done it. And I've realized that there are three key pillars. There's the strategy, which is the right thing at the right time, but there's also the support, right? What happens when things get tough? What happens when we get busy? Who's holding us accountable to the things that we say that we're going to do? Who's having those difficult conversations? Who's challenging you on your ways of thinking? And then the final thing is the systems. How do we actually implement this in the most effective way possible? How do we measure whether these things are actually working? Do you have systems around your business to help you actually implement these ideas, or are they just going to stay as ideas? So here's what support looks like. We have an incredible community of other creative business owners. So if you're looking for a peer group of people who are at the top of their game, industry leaders, award-winning creatives that really want to grow and scale and make more impact with their work, then let's have a conversation. We want to talk about transformation, not just information. So if you'd like a transformational conversation, if you're looking for a transformation from where you are now to really building a business with impact, building a business that gives you the money, the freedom, and the fulfillment that you want, then there's a link below this video to book a call. And we call it Clarity Call because that is our intention. This is a super low pressure. This is not a sales call. It's not a hard sell. It's really a clarity call. And our job is to get you clarity on two things. Number one, what is currently blocking you from the business that you actually want? What are those things? And we'll look around some of those key areas we just discussed in this video. And number two, whether it would be a good fit for us to work with you to help you build that business. And that's for both sides. That's us being a good fit for you and you being a good fit for us. So if you would like some clarity on these things that we've talked about today, if you'd like some clarity on what might be the things that are preventing you from getting where you want, then I'd encourage you to click a link below and book a call with myself or one on my team to get you focused, to get you unstuck, and to get you some momentum. If you don't book a call and I never speak to you ever in my life, I hope you found this valuable, and I would love to know what you thought of it. My name is Matt Essam. I'm on a mission to help creative business owners just like you to grow and scale without hiring a massive team or working harder in their business so they can do meaningful, impactful work. Take care.